We know scope 3 assessment is important for any company if it wants to reach its net zero target. How do we improve or scale up the scope 3 emission assessment, especially when we are developing net zero pathways across an entire sector?
Yeah, thanks, Kritika. So very rightly, this question you have asked. Without reducing scope 3 emission, net zero as per 1.5 degree scenario cannot be achieved. So scope 3 is going to play a very important role. There is a growing urgency to reduce GHG emissions wherever possible, and which includes reducing scope 3 emissions, scope 1, 2, all the emissions, whatever we are talking about. And to date, most of the company have been focusing only on reducing emission under their direct ownership or operation control, which is basically scope 1, scope 2, purchase of electricity, heat and steam. So these are the areas where everyone is right now focusing on, or they have started journey to move forward. But the indirect emission and upstream and downstream emissions, which are related to the value chain, these things are so far people are struggling to get accounted for. And most of the sectors, these emissions make up majority of the company's inventory, as you have already mentioned in your presentation slide. And this differentiation is between the emission sources for accounting purpose has often been used by companies as a justification for not taking responsibility of scope 3 emission, as they fall outside of the company's direct control and ownership. So they have something to say, okay, this is, we don't know the things, we don't have control over that, so we are not thinking about that. So, but it should not be the case. The lack of direct control and difficulty collecting in the data, which is creating barrier, that should be addressed. Despite the challenges of addressing this indirect emissions, scope 3 not only has a huge potential to prevent the worst impact of the climate change, but it also lead to substantial business benefit for everyone. So we are only looking negative or gray side of scope 3 and giving the excuse, but we are not looking the positive side, what it will evolve for everyone and what substantial benefit people will be getting out of this. I'll be giving you some reduction levers what everyone should look into, especially to reduce the scope 3 emissions. The first lever is business model innovation. Whatever business we are doing, there should be some price on carbon. If suppose we are emitting anything, there should be certain price which need to be paid. We should also look for increasing the product lifespan. Whatever the product we are manufacturing, how we can increase the lifespan of that, so that emission can be reduced. We should also look for product like efficiency and other stuffs. Next thing is supplier engagement. So engaging with the supplier so that they can reduce their emissions, ideally in line with the climate science. What James was mentioning, as SBTi is one of the best practices, which is being popular everywhere. So that can be taken as a base. We should also look for procurement policy changes, like whatever the procurement policy is there in the company, that how to improve the policies. It should be in line with the net zero goal of the company. We should also look for product and service design. So at designing level itself, lots of innovation can be done. So we should start looking on those aspects. Customer engagement, whatever the customer and consumers who are using up the product and services, how they can reduce their emissions. That is another area what can be looked into. Operational policies, these are the other areas which is very much important. And then investment strategy. Whatever the investment we are doing, it should be done in the low carbon projects and companies, which will increase the resiliency and shift investment from fossil fuels to accelerating transition of this low carbon economy. So these are the key areas which need to be looked into to improve the improve the scale up for this net zero transition. Yeah, over to you, Dr. Kritika.